Greetings and Happy New Year, as those clever influencers would say. Welcome back to another records unboxing. This one, the first for 2026, and from the good people at Dusty Groove. Once again, a fairly big one, mix of old and new LPs in here, so let's get a cracking. Okay, so here goes. Alright, so bit of just brown paper on top. See, yeah, we got it the right way up, which is nice. So we can get straight into this. Okay, first up, I got a new reissue of a very obscure band, part of the Zamrock scene from Zambia. Sort of a mixture of rock slash some kind of Afro sounds, I suppose, back in the day. A little bit of a mix, but definitely on the rock side of things. Very indie back in the day and raw, which I like. And this is one of the more prominent bands, I suppose, of the time. Where they've reissued lots of their mid to late 70s LPs. And this one is the Ngozi family with 45,000 volts. Danger! Sorry, I should say danger, 45,000 volts, sorry. Yeah, so I really like the cover. It's just a bit hard to see under there. It's kind of cheesy in a way, but it's kind of funny. Yeah. Let's look at the price first. So this is a brand new reissue, 23 US. So, you know, I paid a bit more for it, but that's about the standard price these days for this kind of thing. Really, to be honest now. Here you go. You can see the hype sticker. Welcome to Zamrock. Well, that's if you've not got any before. But this is my first of this band. I think I've got one where they backed up Chris, what's his, Zebby Tamo, is it? He was the drummer. You can see there. It's right there. Chris Zebby Timbo. Very close. Yeah, who was the drummer? This is nice. It says oversized 8-page booklet. I'm not sure how that's oversized. But anyway. Details Paul Ngozi and the Ngozi's family's art. Paul Ngozi, I believe, is the guitarist, I think, including rare photographs, discography, and annotation. That's nice. So I love myself a booklet and laying in to get some new info out of things. Love to fill up my brain with useless stuff as such. So, yeah, this one, you can see here, it's by Now and Again, this reissue. They reissued a lot of stuff, as this, you can see there. It's mentioning Witch as well, which I have one of their reissues. Yeah, so let's have a look, see on the back. This is feels like a nice little reissue here by Now Again. And here we go. Rocking out. The Ngozi family. Yeah. How many songs got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Side 1 and 4. Side 9. So 9. Oh, for side 2, sorry. So 9's a pretty decent number. You can see there, recorded in May 1977. I do believe that, yeah, not many years left after 1977 for these bands. So I'm sure, though, this one upholds some of that nice raw rock they were doing of the time. Really looking forward to seeing what that's all about and cracking open that booklet for sure. Okay, next up. This one, it's been on my list for a while. I've when I discovered what these guys were all about. This is actually a previously non-released, unissued stuff by this band who did have albums after this recording, and this is an early incarnation. I don't have their other albums yet. I'll say that's particularly one album I want to get. But the good news is the price of this just came down. It's way on special. I don't know why. I mean, there's only 7 songs, okay, and there's some early versions of some songs in here from later incarnations of this band. But there's some really other interesting things with this album, particularly with some of the personnel that's historically really interesting. And that is Wood, Brass and Steel, and it's the uncovered, the Lost Astroscope Recordings 1973. So great year, pre-1975 stuff here. But they're saying they're lost. Well, they're no longer lost, these recordings, but you can tell from that title this was unreleased stuff of the time for these originals. Now, you can see that the price, great, $10 US. This is brand new, obviously. And they reckon the list price was like $25. Yeah, I remember when this came out, it was a lot more expensive. So I'm glad I held off just to get it for $10. Sure, there's only 7 songs, which is, probably the downside to this. But hey, I'm not going to complain for the $10 US plus a bit of post. Now, without going into all the nice notes there, you can see the thing is, if we look down here, some interesting things here. You can see we've got Doug Wimbish on a bass, and is it Skip McDonald? I believe they went on to do session sort of work with Sugar Hill in the early 80s onwards. So yeah, that's really cool. The other thing is we've got a link here to I think it might be both Brother to Brother and Skull Snaps bands, because you see we've got some early versions here. Hey, What's That You Say, which I believe is just another title for It's a New Day. The Skull Snaps song. I'm not sure Brother to Brother did that as well, but Trespassing as well. I'm sure Brother to Brother did that, and Skull Snaps had their version. So these are the earlier versions here. We've got a version of I Wish It Would Rain, the Norman Whitfield production by Through the Temptations. And you'll notice too, we've got a strong Sylvia Robinson of later Sugar Hill production fame on some of the writing credits. Now, Sylvia Robinson at this time was still performing and recording under her own name. So that's really interesting. Yeah, and you can see here it's saying there, with the last and most famous house band of the all platinum and Sugar Hill Records group of the labels run by Sylvia and husband Joe Robinson, which happened later. So I won't go through all of this here, but you can see there's going to be some more interesting info here. Yeah, and telling some of the links from this early band there. I can see the name Skull Snaps is turned up there too. Yeah. So be some nice sort of obviously funky stuff here. I'm not sure what the recordings are going to be like for 1973 and being uncovered, but I'm sure there's some quality here anyway. Really, interested in listening to that. Next, okay, this one is a reissue that I snapped up. It was actually marked down, which I couldn't believe, And look, I'm gonna be honest, I only came to know about this stuff very recently, actually through a recommendation from my good mate. Yeah, so I went with his recommendation, had a squiz list, and went, okay, yeah, that's some good stuff. And yeah, as luck had it, when I went looking for this not long after, it popped up on Dusty Groove, and it was marked down. So double bonus here. It's a Japanese reissue of a funky jazzy band, I'd say, kind of band from ensemble, I suppose, from the early 70s onwards, and that is the Kashmir Stage Band, which is very nice, and it's called Plays Originals. Now, checking out some of their other stuff, they did a lot of covers. They were kind of like a school jazz band as such, who also recorded, and they were just damn good and damn funky and tight. So I'm not usually after big ensemble stuff, to be honest, but this is a bit different in that way, that it's on the funkier side of things. It's just by having a big brass band and stuff, it just makes it even super funky heavy, without being like a big band sort of thing, like old school big band. So you can see there, it's on P-Vine Records with a kind of Obi, strip sort of thing here. Yeah, and I was happy to get this one because I wanted the one with their originals on, especially at first, not so much with their covers yet. Although, I heard some of the covers are pretty cool. But I wanted to, get the stuff that was more OG, because some of the covers I've got lots of other versions elsewhere, other people covering. You can see here too, the year is correct as such, 1972. So we're pre-75, we're still in that funky gritty stage. And yeah, if we can have a look here, you see the Kashmir High School Stage Band. High school, but it's just wow. Because they were led by, I think it's like their teacher leader. I don't know if it's got his name there. I'm sure his name will turn up somewhere. I just can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah. Is that there? Foley's department there? Oh, what's that? Oh no, that's not it. Sorry. Now, the track listing is actually, unfortunately, obscured there. 7 songs. Yeah, so I just can't remember all the songs, but there's some really great stuff on here. So this was really exciting to get an awesome recommendation. So thanks again, Danny. Put me in the right direction with some stuff I hadn't heard, hadn't known of. Yeah, and I hope, this will lead me down another sort of rabbit's hole of getting more of this stuff. Particularly at the price you can see there, marked down to $17 US for a brand new reissue, and they reckon the list price originally is something like $40. So, yeah, wow, super cool. I doubt there's anything inside, but that's okay. I've at least got some notes on the outside too. Yeah, and the original cover, I believe, artwork. Very nice. So it's great to get some more funky stuff in the collection, and some more obscure funky stuff. Next up, we're going more on the flipping over to the jazz side of things, with an awesome artist I have lots of stuff from. And this LP I did end up buying because it got marked down after being on my watch list for a while, because it wasn't right high on the list, but sort of in the mid-range, and I've got a lot of stuff by this artist, but I thought, once it's bundling up again, the price was pretty good, especially when it got marked down, and the condition was really good as well. And this is Mr. Stanley Turrentine, in memory of. Now, don't get that confused as if he was, deceased. And then they put this album out. It is a bit of an odd titled album, I'll be honest. Sort of threw me first going, memory of when was this released. But the interesting thing about this Blue Note, and you can tell from the cover, especially with that 70s Blue Bee up in the corner. This was one of those LPs where the material was recorded in the 60s and it wasn't released till like the late 70s. Sometimes these things were early 80s. So it's a legitimate session, I believe, from 1964. So technically this is like a 1964 album, but I think it was released like, I don't know, maybe around 79, something like that. So you can see there price-wise, it's pretty mid-price with 14 US in near mint minus condition though. So that's really cracking condition there. And it's just got a little bit of a punch-out hole there, as you might have noticed before. Not a fan of these white sort of bordered small photo covers they were putting out in the late 70s, early 80s on these newly released old material stuff, to be honest. It's very, I don't know, it just makes it look low budget to me. But that's the way they did them at that time. Yeah, they even opted not to do the traditional Blue Note, back layout. But there's still a writer, Michael Koskuna, who was in charge of the things at the time there, I believe. And if I just look up there, yeah, there you go, 1980. So I was close. Yeah, been a Liberty United Records by then, acquisition of Blue Note, USA Pressing. We've got 6 songs, and there's why it says in memory of. That's the title, because there's a song called In Memory of it, so it's not like the name, as I said, of just the album and that misleading name. It's actually the name of one of the songs there. Let's have a look down at the personnel. We get some great players for 1964 here. We have Blue Mitchell on trumpet, Curtis Fuller on trombone, Herbie Hancock piano, Bob Cranshaw bass, Otis Candy Finch on drums. So a fair whack of big well-known players there, which is nice. And again, you can see the original session produced by Alfred Lyon in 1964 when he was still part of the company. Yeah, recorded by Rudy Van Gelder. So the old the Van Gelder studio in New Jersey. So yeah, got some mid-60s jazz, Blue Note jazz, which is great. And previously, at that time, previously unreleased stuff for a decent price and great condition. I'll just look in there though. Is that? It's quite a shiny kind of cover. Yeah. But yeah, nice to have that. Alrighty, next up, back to another new reissue. This one I took the leap on because this is an awesome artist. They've just, this one was just recently released. I was going to say this year, but by this year I meant 2025. So this year, one day ago. Yeah, so just recently, which is another reason I got it. Yeah, because when you can get these nice reissues of an awesome artist on a great label, I'm going to do it. And that is Jackie McLean's One Step Beyond on the Blue Note Classic Vinyl Series. You can see that. So yeah, and these are usually rock solid, as long as, again, they've learnt their lesson and have been putting them in poly-lined like plastic inner sleeves, not just the paper, which they had to do. So I'm going to be quietly confident that being this is 2025 reissue, that they've done that and kept the vinyl nice and schmickety schmick. Price-wise, though, you can see that I did pay a bit for it there at 26 US. So a bit more on the more price, but not breaking the bank totally once you add the post on. But it is a brand new reissue, remastered, I'm going to say, by Kevin Gray again. Yeah, there it is. So it's going to be no slouch reissue whatsoever. As I said, these classic vinyl series ones I'm usually very, very happy with. The only time I haven't been is when they've just put in a plastic sleeve, a paper sleeve, and by the time I've opened it new, it's already been scuffed, which is cracker. Anyway, here we go. Let's have a look. Oh, yes, also made in Germany. Now, personnel. We've got Grancher Moncur III, trombone, Jackie McLean, obviously, sax, and we've got some Bobby Hutchinson vibes, which is always a nice selling point and buying point for me. Eddie Kahn on bass, and Anthony Williams on drums. So we've got a nice mix there. 4 songs, so they're going to be nice and stretched out, as you would expect for this time. And if we look at the year, though, the original year, if it comes into focus, there we go, 1964. So the same time as, or similar time as the Stanley Torrentine one we just looked at on Blue Note. So yeah, that's cool. But yeah, look, mid-60s Blue Note stuff, you usually can't go wrong, hey. Jackie McLean, usually can't go wrong. Unless you want to call him Jackie McLean. I'm going to go with McLean, okay? I'm McLean showing? No, I'm McLean showing. Alright, yeah, so I really like that cover too. It's good to see that's a lot better cover than the Stanley Torrentine one, for sure. Yeah, looking forward to hearing what that's all about. Now, another reissue here. This one is quite obscure. And I saw it and I thought, okay, that looks interesting. And I did actually check this one out beforehand. I did a bit of a pre-listen because, I wasn't so sure. And if I'm usually a little bit skeptical or too much, I'll do a bit of a check out if I can. Sometimes I like to do non-spoilers and go in fresh. Other times, if I'm going to pay the money, I like to know what I'm getting. But this is interesting because I believe this was very early 80s, about 1981. But the package looks more mid-70s. I know it's only a couple of years before, but the market changed. Things got more disco-y, poppier and schmicked up, and this looks, very much like a mid-70s spiritual jazz indie cover, but it's actually very fitting when you listen to it. And that is by, well, I'll say a group, but it's not technically, it's an ensemble. As it says, Creative Arts Ensemble, One Step Out. And you can see there what I mean from the illustration there, the black and white illustration. It looks, very mid-70s, like, I don't know, Stradi's kind of looking, I don't know, somewhere around there. And it's kind of got that vibe. Now, we'll have a look here. The price wasn't that bad. And again, you can see the value there. So 20 US, but they reckon list price was like 45 US. So this is like under half price of the original list price. So even if they listed for 40, 20 is half. So that was a bonus too. You can see Pure Pleasure reissue, 180 gram, analog in big letters, limited edition. Yeah, okay, we'll see. Maybe. But that might make it a bit more lucrative. Yeah, so claiming it's been remastered or mastered and then stamped from analog with BJ Crowley. So let's have a look on the back side. Yeah, well, we've got one photo of one person. Maybe that's BJ Crowley. Now, again, without going too much, I know this is one of those sort of jazz arts collectives he came together and got recorded with probably a lot of different musos coming in and out, from what I understand. So I think there's a bit of variety of sound on this, like style on this ensemble record. But again, I'm pretty sure it's kind of very, yeah, almost in the spiritual sort of jazz vein, if you can say that, which I like. And you can see there, I just saw straight away, I can see Henry Franklin, the skipper Henry Franklin on bass. So that ties it to some of the, spiritual jazz of the early to mid 70s, where he had his own solo albums on the Black Jazz label. I'm trying to see if there's any other names there I know. Oh, there's George Bohannon on trombone, of course. Played on so much stuff. So there's BJ Crowley. He is the vocal / co-leader. And maybe that piano / leader there is Kaif Ruzadam, is it? Or Ruzadam? So I'd say that's probably who that is. I just never heard of him before, to be quite honest. You can see there we do have a fair arrangement, array, I should say, of musicians on this ensemble, but it is quite obscure. It's one of those reissues that, exposes people to something a little bit more obscure and probably really hard to get the original of, or even hear about. Yeah, so that's going to be very super cool to have in the collection. Right, next up. Now this album I have been after for a little while, because it kind of sort of plugs up a gap in a sequence of LPs by this, band, we'll say. Not that I mean to complete this with this band, but there's a run of albums from about 1968 to about 1974, maybe 5. I've been getting my hands on over the years. And this, I believe, is the last in that sort of sequence for me to get. Because I'm not going to buy their later stuff after that post-75. And I'm not really needing their pre-68, I think it is, stuff. But this one, I was glad to finally find, and in very good plus condition. And that is The Temptations with Sky's the Limit. So on Gordy / Motown as a US pressing, I believe this is. It's a little bit scuffy over there, but that's okay, not too much. A little bit of ring wear and a bit of sticker removal damage. It's not even sticky, it's just, discoloration. But at $10, very good plus for the vinyl. I'm happy with that. So this places us in the early 70s. I think it's about 72, maybe, somewhere around there, which we'll find out in a minute. And again, this would be a Norman Whitfield production. He was still working with them until I think about 73 or 4, somewhere around there. And we've got some really cool songs in there, like Just My Imagination and Smiling Faces Sometimes. Probably, I think the ones that are the most known ones here. I'm just trying to, Oh Man, I think that sounds familiar, but and I think I've also got Unite the World somewhere, maybe on a compilation. But it's good to get some other songs on there that are like the non-compilation sort of album songs to, plug in some gap of things I don't have from them, from particularly the Norman Whitfield collaboration here. And let's see, is there anything else there? Oh, we've got Norman Whitfield over it. Now I'm just going to pick that up there. I don't know, it's art direction. Just want to see if we can. Oh, there we go, 1971. Yep. So, and there you go, Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong. There we go. I always see that same photo of them on different LPs. So yeah, that's good. Just finally got that one to plug up that gap. 1971, nice and early in the 70s, good stuff. There'll be some great vocals, great production. I'm sure they won't have listed anywhere the Musos, the Motown Funk Brothers or whatever, you know, your James Jamesons and stuff will probably be all over this. It'll be interesting to find out later who's actually on that. Nice to have there. Okay, next up. All right, next up. This one I paid a fair bit for because of what it is, but I also waited and it came down in price. It was a lot higher price when it was first listed. Been hanging around on the Dusty Groove listing for a little bit, and once it came down to a more consumable price for me, I went, yeah, it is time to do this. And again, to kind of, well, almost plug up a gap, but I've been after this because I love this artist. And I've been waiting to get this for a while. And that is Freddie Hubbard's High Blues Pressure from, I believe, sit, Freddie, sit. From 1968, I believe. It's on Atlantic, so this is just pre-CTI, like Red Clay and stuff, by just a couple of years. He had a nice run of Atlantic LPs at the time, like Backlash as well. And yeah, so this is one that's eluded me for a while because of the price. But yeah, love my Freddie Hubbard. It is on Atlantic, but I got it for $29 US, so I did pay a bit more, but it is very good plus. So, hey, I'm paying for the quality as well. But you can see the sticker under there. I can't remember how much it originally was, but it was like, might have been near to $40 or something. So I'm very happy about that. On the back, that looks really nice too. Just a little bit of sort of aging, spotting, staining or whatever there. Nothing too full on, heinous. There we can see 1968. So, personnel here. Oh yeah, some of these tracks I have on a compilation that I had as a placeholder for a couple of years. It was a mid-70s compilation of some of these Atlantic records he did. And I believe it had, it might have had High Blues Pressure, I think, and 4BP. Potentially, I think, True Colors as well. But now I've got the complete thing. And if we look at the players on here, the personnel, we have Benny Maupin in 1968, so pre-Headhunters. James Spaulding, who Hubbard had collaborated with before. We got Weldon Irvin on piano. Might have been around the time he was playing with Aretha Franklin, maybe even a bit earlier, I'm not sure. And let's see, anybody else whose name sticks out? Oh, Kenny Barron is there on piano. So there's different people on different songs here. I'm just trying to pick out maybe the main names there. Louis Hayes on drums there. Yeah, so a bit of a mix. We've got some mainstays there with Benny Maupin, James Spaulding. Looks like they play on most of the tracks there, which is cool. Yeah. Anyway, so to have some top quality Freddie Hubbard from his Atlantic years, in awesome condition there, well, you know, almost was a very good plus. So and the cover looks great. No bullet holes, no cut corners, which is nice as well. Very strong colour still for this OG pressing. You can tell it's OG there because that's that paste on sort of back there. That's in for 1968. That's very nice condition there too. It's just a little bit of scuffy marks. Well, that's fantastic. Cracking along. Oh, that's right. This one is a yeah, a nice reissue at a great price. Again, I don't know why this price was this, and I've actually saw this album actually sort of recommended on a video, the 10-minute jazz review, and I think this might have been on his series where it's either saying, you know, these like good albums that are, you know, relatively inexpensive or more obscure ones or something like that, which are good. I can't remember which one of them it was, but I did again take notice and then saw it. I do have a sorry, I do not have any other LPs by this artist, so I'd give this a crack based on that recommendation, and also because of the price. So this reissue, it's coming from an LP from about late 50s, or late-ish 50s, I think about 1957. So we're going to back a bit with our jazz here, but I'm going to give it a crack. And by the way, the cover is, for that time, I'm going to be honest, super cool. And that is Curtis Counts with You Get More Bounce with Curtis Counts. Isn't that a great cover for back then? Yeah. So, and also this is Craft Recordings reissue. How cool is that? Craft Recordings Contemporary Records reissue. Acoustic Sound Series. Look at the price. $14 US. Super cool, with the listing price of $29. So again, under half, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't even say like it's been marked down. It doesn't have one of those blue stickers where it's been a certain price and then marked down. It's cracking onto that price. So I don't get it. Maybe it wasn't selling. I don't know. But we'll see what the hype sticker is saying. Oh, analog mastering. Oh, there. Bernie Grunman, once again, pressed on 180 gram vinyl, which is nice. And recorded featuring Curtis Counts, Frank Butler, Harold Land, early Harold Land stuff. Carl Perkins, not the rockabilly kind of singer Carl Perkins. Jazz guy, I believe pianist, was he? And Jack Shot. So, yeah, let's have a look in the back. Nice old school looking here, mimicking the original Contemporary Records look there, which is very nice. What's it? Oh, it's just listing there. Yeah, there you go, Carl Perkins piano, which is good. Curtis Counts is on bass, Frank Butler drums, and yeah, Harold Land obviously on sax. Jack Sheldon's there on trumpet. Okay, now it's getting a bit hard to see this track listing because of the glare. So I'll see what I can do. There you go. Kind of there. Oh. Yeah, that looks like it's got some standards like an Irving Berlin, How Deep Is the Ocean. So yeah, a little bit more old school, obviously here. Bigfoot by Charlie Parker. We do have a Curtis Counts song there, Counsellation. Nice play on words, Mr. Curtis. Yeah. I think he's only got one on the... Oh, no, and the first one, Complete, by Curtis Counts. That's good. There's a couple of originals here too. So this will be interesting to listen to, because I purposely didn't stream this. I'm just going off of the recommendation here. Yeah. Interesting too, though, it says there, Curtis Counts Group Volume 2. Was that on the front? I don't think that's said anywhere on the front. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's probably just not as important then, is it? Let's have a look down the bottom here. Yeah, okay, so this was reissued a couple of years ago, 2022. I'm now going to have to say 4 years ago, aren't I? And originally, 1957 on Contemporary. So, yeah. Bit more older school jazz than I would usually do. I've got some, obviously around the late 50s. So that doesn't hurt, but the price definitely doesn't hurt for an awesome craft recording reissue. Lovely. With a cracking cover. All right, what's next up here? All right. Yep. This one is not a reissue, so going back to second hand here, and by an awesome artist. I've passed by this album many times over the years because I know it's not his strongest work, or in my opinion, in my humble opinion here. Here we're going from, though, also 1974 on a guy who was on Blue Note a very long time. I think he did record for Argo a couple of albums, maybe in the mid-60s, but he was a mainstay of Blue Note throughout most of his career, from what I know. And this one has an interesting title because I suppose it's trying to be indicative of the style or the choice of songs he's playing, which I believe some of them are covers, but most of them, others are either by him or Horace Ott, and that is Lou Donaldson with Sweet Lou on Blue Note. I'm not a big fan of that cover, and I never have been. I know it's supposed to be a nice artistic, illustration, but I don't know. Just something about it I'm just not a fan of. It's alright. Price is good though. $12, very good plus. It's the kind of album I wouldn't want to pay more than that, but at least I'm getting it for a very good plus. Original. Let's crack on in at the back for 70s Lou Donaldson. I've got a few of his 70s ones, I think, prior to this one, and they're actually quite good. Getting a bit more sort of funky electric. This one we have a cover of Bobby Womack's You're Welcome, Stop On By. And then we've got some other ones that are like Lost Love is Lou Donaldson, and then you can see there H. Ott on a few of the other ones there. All right. Lou's looking very happy with himself and his product here. Let's look personnel. And fancy that, there's Horace Ott on keyboards and synthesizer. Wouldn't have expected that. Let's see. We've got Cornell Dupree. Lovely. Great. Dave Spinoza on guitar. Hugh McCracken guitar. So lots of the usual suspects around this time. William Bascom on bass. Fender. And we've got Bernard Purdy, which is always a treat on some of the tracks there. Got another drummer, Jimmy Young. So Garnet Brown on trombone. Look, Selden Powell. So some other known names there as well to support. We've got some singers on there too. It's probably to sweeten it up. And here you can see the for you ancient Romans out there, seeing that it's 74. Yeah, so nice to have in the collection. Still technically pre-1975 by 1 year. But look, I have also read good things about this too. This LP. There's another one called Sophisticated Lou that came out around the same time. So he's sort of playing with some theme there. with the sequence of albums there. I think that it was only the two, Sweet Lou and Sophisticated. I don't have Sophisticated Lou, but this one looks pretty cool. All right. So thanks, Mr. Lou. Cracking right on. All right. This one, I'm going to be honest. This is purely for the collection. It's been on my list, my low list, for a number of years, just to finish up a sequence, just because it was cheap, just because it's this guy. Not, I'm going to be honest, not because of the content. Oh, no, I might be surprised, but this is when this awesome person shifted style, sort of went solo, very early 80s. And this one is early 80s, 1982. So he had a sequence of these records where he shifted it up, doing it for the ladies. That is Larry Graham with Sooner or Later. And it was like, sooner or later, I'm going to buy this for the collection. And that snazzy shirt and saturation of hot pink for the ladies. Oh, yes. Now you can see like $3 US. In fact, I paid more on post than the LP. It is near mint minus, but look, it's just one of those things that it's like, all right, I got it now, it's out of my system, I can put it in the collection. So I've got a run of Larry Graham or Graham Central Station stuff up until 82. Will I get his stuff after? I think he had another LP, 85, something. I don't know about that. Tiny little cutout notch, but hey, it's a $3 record that I'm not expecting much out of. I don't care. So let's have a look at the cheesy titles we'll get here. Still thinking of you. Don't stop when you're hot. You're my girl. I feel good. I don't think that'll be the James Brown one. I mean, it could be, but I wouldn't think it is. Walk, baby, walk. Let me come into your... okay. Into your life. Hold up. Okay. Well, I'm glad it's not hold up your hand and let me come into your life. Okay, no. Easy love. Oh, yeah. So he'll have his, greasy... What is it? Not baritone? Is it baritone voice? Oh, maybe down. Oh, yeah. That kind of stuff. So I don't think it's going to be very bass-centric here. Unfortunately. Oh, we've got some George Duke on there. That doesn't mean it's going to be even any better by 1982. And the slant, this is gone. As you can see there. We've got some different Grahams on there, which is interesting. Oh, Pat Rizzo, who played with Sly Stone in the 70s. Michael Cimbella, I've heard of on guitar. There's George Duke again. La 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 la. Look, this is going to, probably be dripping with mozzarella. I know. But hey, it's just one of those things. It's Larry Graham. Yeah. It's just because, and just because it's cheap. And get the ladies all fired up. All right. Bye, Larry. Hot pink is burning my retinas. All right. Next up, back on some new reissues here. This again is similar to one of the other ones I pulled out just before. And it was at a really nice price. And it was something I didn't know about, again, beforehand. Very much that sort of creative ensemble type thing. In that sort of spiritual jazz, etc. vein here. But I believe this one is a little bit earlier than that other one I showed you from 1981. I think it's more like 1976, around there. And that is by the Hastings Street Jazz Experience. Now, I get a bit confused. It's either this is called the Hastings Street Jazz Experience, and it's by the Detroit Jazz Composers. Sometimes I think it gets listed the other way around, like that's the name of the band, but I think that's actually the name of the LP, and that's what it's showing here on the price sticker. But that's the name of the album's the Hastings Street Jazz Experience. But anyway, $14 US for brand new, which is not too shabby. Originally, it was on this obscure label here, Midnight Records. And apparently this is meant to be Series 1. I don't know if they ever got to another series. No idea. Very obscure. Reissue here. But nice price. Nice. 1976 now. We're doing 1976 in terms of sort of more, sort of like creative ensemble jazz here, which is, again, I think more onto the spiritual jazz leanings. But you can see here, damn, there's a lot of people collaborating in and out on this LP. And I'm going to be honest, these are probably going to be, I'll just have a look, for all intents and purposes in terms of the passing of time and history, unknowns sort of now. More... these are not more notorious, well-known jazz musos. So this is very, localized, I think, in terms of it being made as a collective and people getting together to work off each other. There might be some names that come up there. I think that Phil Ranelin is one of them, to be honest. I'm not sure about anybody else in here. I just might have similar names to other artists. Also got vocals on here, which is very cool. Yeah, so let's have a look down here. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what, any of these songs. They all look like originals to me. It's also very nice to see that they weren't just doing standards and stuff and regurgitating other people's stuff. So it is very creative in that sense. I believe it just saw, yeah, there you go. 1976 is the year of original production. But obviously this is a very new reissue where I'm not really seeing any indication of when that was reissued. But hey, obviously very recently. No hype sticker either to give us a clue there at all. I like the cover though. I do like the minimalist cover here. Dig the orange there, that nice deep orange on the simple graphic, black graphic. Yeah, I really dig that, and that makes it also look very sort of independent, no frills sort of stuff. But interesting to hear some stuff coming out of Detroit in the mid-70s in terms of that sort of more free spiritual jazz sort of stuff and around that. But I believe there is some good variety on here of styles. All right, lovely. Next up, well, I did not go. Most of these ones actually in this bundle, I forgot, they're mostly new reissues, which is quite rare for me. Unless I'm buying from just like iMusic, where that's all they sell is new reissues. This one, look, I paid a bit more for, but I know the price was good considering I know how much it originally would have been. So it really is a knockdown in price. Look, this artist, I've only got, I think, one other LP where it was a collaboration LP. So it was nice to get one here where it's just this artist on their own, as such, in terms of the billing on the record. And obviously, they played with other artists as well on the record. And this is a really nice package here, which will make sense if you're in the new, and that is Alice Coltrane with Eternity. So yeah, I've only got one other Alice Coltrane. I believe it's the one with Carlos Santana. It's a really nice album too. I don't mind that, and it's relatively inexpensive, that one. This one, a little bit more, but you can see already it's actually a VMP, new VMP. So obviously after the sad collapse of VMP, what was it, last year, I believe, Dusty Groove have acquired some of their back catalogue that was unsold stuff, because I bought a couple from them and see other ones listed on there, and for really decent prices, because these are not at VMP prices at all. So this, yeah, it's sort of going again that kind of spiritual jazz thing, but with some variety. And I had to listen to this, and this is a real excursion, a really nice excursion here, where, yeah, there's some variety, but some really cool stuff on here that I don't know if you call it spiritual jazz, I suppose, in a way. And the price, I'll just get into that, was $21 US for this VMP, and you can see they're new, 40. And if you also know with VMP, with the, you had to sign up to be part of it, and also you had to, put all the posts and stuff, and sometimes it was reasonable. Most time, if you're buying also out of US in Australia, it's not. So this was a lot more accessible. Now you can see here, this is AAA, recorded, pressed, etc. from the analog tapes. Look, this is, again, it's a color vinyl. Yeah, I'm not so interested in that. It says exclusive orange in pink. Maybe that's got to do with her attire there. Maybe it's from that color there. They got the inspiration. Listening notes booklet. That's a nice bonus that VMP obviously often did as well. And this says that Eternity arrived at a transitional point in Coltrane's spiritual journey, in 1975, etc., etc., etc. So let's have a quick squeeze on the back. I won't crack it open. It's in one of those, covers that you can unseal and seal back, which I won't be keeping in, by the way, but that's always nice. But we can see there, so we can't quite see everything in there because this must be some sort of, I don't know if that's the listening notes. Might have to check that out. So here's the back cover proper. And we can get to see the track list here. And you can see with the first song, look, it's a big ensemble here. But it makes a dynamic song, like a track. So there's some different types of ones here, because you can see then that with the second one, it's quite minimalist. I believe it's just, might be just Alice Coltrane on that one, I think. I might be wrong. But you can see from the listing, it says, yeah, sorry, it's just saying she's on harp. So we go from this big, full-on, fleshed out sort of composition here to something more minimalist. So as I said, this is a bit of an excursion, this LP. And then you can see with the third track, we go to, what is it, 5, so a quintet. And then you can see it sort of mixes up through each of the tracks. Yeah. And into Rite of Spring, again, back to a massive ensemble there. Yeah, so that's nice to see there. This cover too is this really nice sort of slick but matte cover. Really nice feel to it. It's quite solid too for a new reissue. That's fairly good. Now, also, the pink vinyl, I won't take it totally out. They didn't quite give it a, oh no, that's right, they do. Well done, they have got a poly sleeve. And you can at least get a sneak peek at the, kind of see the colour of the vinyl there. Not that I'm too bothered about that, but that, nice little detail. The other thing is this, I didn't quite see what this was. So this was that part blocking, and it looks like some sort of poster. Yeah, okay. There, it's a poster. Very thin, sort of papery poster of her fingers on, I suppose that's a harp. I take it, yeah. I don't know, yeah, that's interesting. And Also, the aforementioned, let's bring this down for a second, booklet. So I haven't opened yet either, but, or one of the reading notes. This is kind of cool too. So something to read along with. Inside. So that's really nice, and it's a bit more sturdy than the poster. Yeah, so go figure. That's a nice package for the price. Thank you, Alice. It's nice to have some Alice proper in my collection. Alright, cracking along. Okay, this one is actually a used second-hand LP. I believe it's an OG pressing from 1970. Now, I'll be honest, this one I bought based on recommendation. I can't remember where. I can't remember where I read the recommendation of this. Because I'm normally not, to be honest, a fan of this artist's solo LPs, or I think I have one of his from around about this time, and it's alright, but it's you know, it's a bit sparse, and but this one was yeah, I've seen is more recommended as a bit more funky and stuff, sort of jazz, which gets my juices flowing. And some of the, I believe the personnel seems pretty cool on here too. I did have to pay a little bit for it, but nothing too heinous. Sort of mid-price, and that's Gary Burton with Good Vibes. Yeah, it's on Atlantic. So I paid 14. I did compromise though. I don't normally do this on the very good condition. I did see, after I purchased, a Very Good Plus came out on Dusty Groove not long after I got this one, and it was Very Good Plus, but I think it was like about 18 or 19 US. So look, you know, very good. Every now and again I get a very good. Clean up, it should be alrighty. And for something I'm taking a bit of a punt on, yeah, I didn't stream it. I wanted to go, okay, let's see. Normally I would, but I saw it, went, oh, pretty mid-price, I'll get that. Now, obviously, with the Good Vibes title, it gives, obviously, the very pointed clue or indication that he is a vibraphone player. And he's got some electric vibes happening too. He also plays piano and organ. So, I'll still go with the personnel here. Eric Gale, some early Eric Gale, early-ish, 1970. Chuck Rainey, come on. Bernard Purdy, come on. So that gives you a hint there too that hopefully we've got that more funky rhythm section there happening at that time in 1970. Key time with yeah, Bernard and Chuck Rainey, which is pretty cool as well. Let's crack open up here to tracks, all pretty healthy length tracks around the 5-6 minute mark. The sort of classic jazz, 3 tracks per side. So that's nice, where they'll stretch out a bit but not overstay their welcome, I hope. But I have not listened to these at all. And interestingly enough, I'm seeing that 3 of the tracks are OGs by him. Originals by him, which is cool. And a Gil Evans Herbie Hancock one. There you go. Last Vegas Tango. Yeah, so I can't tell you much. Except it's on Atlantic, 1970, produced by Joel Dawn, Ahmadin, again, who that's pretty typical for Atlantic around this time. It's Atlantic Jazz for 1970. So I'm hoping to get some, good vibes out of it, really. As I said, there's a good funky vibes, hopefully. Because I do like vibes when they're funky or as well as, upbeat jazzy stuff. But yeah, like I'm just suspending disbelief in terms of this being a really highly recommended Gary Burton album. Because yeah, he's on other people's stuff, and sometimes some players stuff they do with other people's better. And I thought he was one of those that when he does his own stuff, it's maybe not as cool. Anyway, but very much looking forward to seeing if the hype I read was true, that this is a cool, funky album. All right, next up. All right. Oh, this one is, again, this is not a new reissue. This is secondhand. So we're digging down now into some of the secondhand stuff. This is an album that's been on my list, not totally high. I just think it's one of those misleading sort of albums as such, particularly because of what it's called, the cover, the year. Look, it's a bit hit and miss as such. You'll see why. We're right smack dang on 1975, on the cusp, in terms of things getting a bit too clubby disco. Look, this surely would fall into that category, but surprisingly, this actually has some redeeming features, which is why I bought it. And this is by an act called People's Choice. And you can see that, Boogie Down USA. And that is just, glistening with disco affections such and trappings. So, look, I can understand. You would look at that and saying featuring Party is a Groove thing, do it any way you want it, and all that stuff, and Boogie Down USA. That just looks like a cliched disco record. But we are talking 1975, at the infancy where disco wasn't quite just locked up in the stereotypical four on the floor trappings and cliches. I mean, they were starting to form from things like this. But I will say this has actually got a bit more redeeming quality throughout the album, because there is a bit more variety. There's some sort of more soul stuff that's probably more toward the funky side of things than just the run-of-the-mill, churned out disco cliches, which is why I bought it, because, yeah, it's got more substance than that. If you can actually not judge a book by its cover, well, in this instance, a record by its cover. So, yeah, looking through here, I said, and some of the vocals are quite nice in here, a bit more soulful, gritty. So it's not just all about just the disco repetitive sort of hooks or chant and stuff, fluffy stuff that came out a bit later. It's actually got some, depth to it, to be honest. But still, expect it to be danceable, and that's okay. It's got some clubby aspects, but some funky stuff here. Lots of Leon Huff influence all over this. You can see L Huff everywhere. Let's go down here. There you go, 1975 on CBS. Let's just see over here. We've got Sound of Philadelphia, TSOP, Monica there, and it's got saying to Tom Moulton, who was a sort of big disco producer around this time. I don't know if he produced this or not. I'm just trying to see why it's saying to him. Interesting enough too, when we look at disco, with disco, it's not the players who are given the listings. Here, it's actually the players. So, yeah, rather than the vocalists as such, where later on it's more the bands are about the vocalists, and the players are usually the studio musos, being incognito mostly, okay, yeah, or studio musos or whatever. So that again gives you a little bit of maybe a little bit of a clue as to why this album has a bit more substance, because we are giving the musos the props here. And even in that photo, you can see, look, yeah, they're actually holding instruments like a funk band would or something. So that's really cool as well. As I said, you don't see that a lot in more cliched disco groups of the late 70s. Yeah, so I'm glad I got this as such. Again, it's not totally high on my list, but it gives me some variety in my collection. And it is funk, influence, and there's some funk vibes in here, and soul as well, which is cool. Yeah, and $7 US. Just a nice big cut corner there, but hey, it's not really. It's just cutting off it's cutting off a little bit of the info at the top there, but I can still read the track list. Yeah, so I will boogie down in AUS from Boogie Down USA. Okay, and we are up to the last one. All right, this one, again, I challenged myself with because I've heard of this artist before. I know he's played on other people's stuff, but apparently this is not very typical sort of style or record for this particular artist in terms of solo work. But I had a listen and I was impressed. We are post 75. I believe we're into 1977, somewhere around there. Maybe it might have been released maybe 78, but I'm pretty sure around the 77 time in terms of it being recorded. And this is by a pianist who is often associated with acoustic piano, but he did play some Fender Rhodes stuff as well. And in particular, on this album, he does mix it up. And he's got a great supporting cast, which gives this album, we're kind of, 77. So we're up to that sort of, getting to that smoother fusion sort of era and smoother soul jazz, era with the Columbia Records and stuff, and post CTI or late CTI kudu sound. This is on none of those listed labels. This is on a label called Coherent Sound. Now this is Victor Feldman with In My Pocket. In My Pocket. He's got a tiny little piano in it. But he's looking like a bit of a geezer there. His sort of grandpa looking hat or something there. And less like a funky jazz guy, I suppose, in a way. So limited edition, direct mastered recording, Coherent Sound. So a bit more obscure, but this probably reads more, or sounds more, I suppose. Like a sort of mid CTI kind of thing, I suppose. And you'll see too with the artists, quite an unassuming back cover and front cover, but just look over here first. You can see there we've got Hubert Laws and Harvey Mason. So that, already should give you a bit of an indication, particularly with Harvey Mason. The other players, look, I'll be honest, I don't know. They're unknowns to me. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be good stuff, because I did have a listen to this. And there's a bit of a mix of styles here, but he does play some Fender Rhodes in quite a funky way, and if he's playing with Harvey Mason with that, you already got the makings of some good groove here. Here, that gives you even a rundown, look, about the music, and it's saying, is attempt to, on my part, to create a jazz album with Brazilian, which is cool, and funk rock influence. So again, he's kind of trying to, I suppose, not pigeonhole himself, but describe the style he was actually aiming for. And I think then this one they say, yeah, direct mastered session, so they just went for it. Yeah, sort of live in the studio kind of thing, straight to tape as such, or direct to record as such. Yeah, so that's really cool. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with this. I didn't think it would be the sort of record I would dig. But I did, as I said, I did check it out, and yeah, it was cool, especially for 77. Yeah, not too shabby at all. $7, near mint minus as well, so great condition for a pretty low price, $7. From a guy I usually every now and see as a sideman in studio recordings, and I'll be honest, haven't bothered looking up or knowing much about. And this might be a gateway into other stuff. I don't know, because maybe this is like a one-off. But anyway, unlike this video, which is not a one-off, but it is time to sign off. And I hope you have a awesome, funky year, people. And I'll see you later.